What better way to rise up to your day unless on Rise and Shine morning breakfast show on Spectrum Television? It's always an amazing time here, trust me. My name is Janice Cobham. Good morning and welcome once again to an amazing time on the breakfast show.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning to rise and shine. A good day to be alive because, God has made it so. My name is Uyai Anieka, and thanks for joining us this morning. Of course, I'd like to remind you to be a part of the conversation and the growing community. How do you do that? Like, share, comment across all the social media platforms. Let's take the engagement online. We'll also have our phone lines displayed on the screen in the course of the program. Please do well to call in and also send us WhatsApp or text messages on the issues that will be raised on the floor at Rise and Shine this morning. Good morning.
Yeah, it will be very, very necessary to do that. Good morning, Uya. But before we even go into like the conversations that we have for you this morning, my attention was drawn to something very, very seriously, and I think that is something we need to talk about. Of course, Akwa Ibom State is our state, and if there's anything that is disturbing the inhabitants of the state, then it has to be a matter of concern to everybody. And this morning, I heard that robbery cases have become very rampant, in some places in Akwa Ibom State, and this is us calling on the relevant authorities to take it up as very, very seriously as possible, because we shouldn't have issues where people can't sleep with their eyes closed anymore. I was talking to somebody and they are like, oh, it's a normal thing. No, it doesn't have to be a normal thing where people go to bed, they cannot sleep because they're scared that their doors will be burst open by robbers and all of that, or they are scared they can't even go through the roads anymore because someone is locking by the dark, going to snatch their bags or their phones or something. So please, we are calling on the relevant authorities in Akwa Ibom State, the security authorities in Akwa Ibom State. We are calling on government and all the good people of Akwa Ibom State to rise up to the occasion. We do not want situations where people, will be having their hearts on their slaves.
Oh, that's such a sad, intel at this time, but it's important, like you said, for the Nigeria Police Force and all the other related agencies for these kinds of situations to be alert. Especially, one would try to think about the causative factors, and then we are looking at the fact that the cash crunch has continued to persist. There is no money on ground for people to be able to go about their activities. Food is a problem, literally everything. So you begin to wonder, you don't know how the person in the house you are breaking into is surviving, but you just feel because they're in their house and sleeping that you can break in there and find something. So there's no rationale behind it. Sometimes one would think, these thieves, do they not have conscience? Don't you think about other people and how they're faring? But it's important that we should be alert also in our environment. Once you see any activity that is out of the norm, please raise an alarm as soon as possible, and that might save you. And something else that is also important is, as much as possible, have the phone number of the closest police station to your area, so that in cases like that you can call their phone lines and probably get
But
help
that's
on
another
time.
question.
Yeah.
That's another thing now. Do we even have this, police numbers
Yes,
in the public domain where
they're
people can,
available.
oh,
Yes,
they are?
they're
Oh,
available.
nice.
Yes. It's probably something I could check and make available even on TV,
Yeah,
because we used to have
please,
it. Yeah,
please.
so
We need it so that we
this
can
line.
get it across to people, relevant authorities, people that would want those numbers,
Yes,
to be
yes.
able to reach out. But another thing or another snack to this is, how often do you call those numbers and there is a quick
Quick
response?
response. Well, the least we can do is call first of all, and let's worry about if there's going to be a
Their
quick
response
response
or
or not.
not?
Because sometimes, to be fair to the Nigeria Police Force, sometimes they respond. They respond early, or if they're not going to come, they'll let you know. But it's important to even place the call first. Let's find out. Let the problem be we called and the police did not respond. I
Yeah.
think that's a fair place to start.
Okay. Of course, like we would always say, security is everybody's business. So if you see something, say something. If you see anybody looking around the corner in the dark and you do not understand where the person is coming from, please do raise an alarm. It can save you and also save a whole lot of community as well. But that's it. We'll just go to our flash news now and see what's happening around the country. Don't forget, on Rise and Shine, we bring you the gist as hot as it is, from national to security to education to whatever it is. We talk about the economy as well. And of course, don't forget, we also bring lifestyle to your doorstep as well, bringing you the news real time as it is. So we go over now to Benin City. I like that we're starting our flash news from Benin City. We always have this Sunny from Benin that normally calls us. So maybe he will call us this morning to confirm the story. But obviously, female hostel at the Egehon campus of the University of Benin was yesterday goated by fire. Of course, the inferno, reports say, destroyed some documents and properties at the university. A source also told reporters that the incident, which started at midday, however, claimed no life, while an account said the cause of the fire could not be ascertained. Another source said it was ignited by a surge from an electric cooker, popularly known as hot plate, that one of the female students was using. According to another source, the attention of the fire service and the state was drawn to the incident on time, and its men were on ground to extinguish the fire. Now, let's just leave it at that. But hot plates. And for me, I was even going to think that maybe it's this boiler, the ring boiler, because those are things that could spark some kinds of fire issues and all of that. But hot plates, female hostel. At this
time, you would think that it's possible that it's also a speculation, but then anything can go bad with the things that people created. Maybe the hot plate was already faulty, and then it gave way in the midst of this. That's a really large hostel to be gutted by fire. So you're looking at the fact that the university is going to become needy in that regard. A lot of students are going to have problems with accommodation. Do not also forget, we're talking about a very large hostel, so most people might have had their personal documents, as important as all those things may be, and they got burnt. I think the big question is, usually in schools, in the universities, you're not allowed to have these cooking agents in the hostels.
Cooking equipment.
Yes, cooking equipment, rather. No boiling rings, no hot plates, no stoves, no gas. Because that is why some people prefer to stay off campus, so they can cook their meals. So this is more like a problem of how did that get into the hostel. And in the moment where the fire was initially ignited, of course it started out from one room. How rapidly did it get in touch with other things and just begin to burn? That's a very serious fire there. But it's good to know that no life was lost, and although the financial incurement from this is going to be enormous, and you don't know how long it's going to take for that particular hostel to be rebuilt. But then do we have the forensic intelligence to search and find out which room exactly where the fire started out from? Okay, that's possible, because before it starts out in a particular room and spreads, so now you would have to question the ladies in that particular room as to what exactly happened. But it's good to see that everyone was able to escape out of the hostel before the fire began to rain damage. That's what we're just grateful for.
Yeah, definitely no life was lost, and also the fire service in Benin acted very, very promptly as well. We thank God for that. Now, away from that, let's look at another flash news. Very interesting times in our political space, I must say. The Labour Party family seems to be going through very murky waters at this point in time. The crisis seems not to give way at all. Now, another problem, the leadership crisis rocking the Labour Party deepened yesterday as it suspended a factional leader, Mr. Lamidi Apapa, its national deputy chairman South, and some other officials. Now, the party also appointed acting executive members according to a statement signed by Ms. Ladi Iliya, national deputy chairperson, and Mr. Kennedy Ahon-Notu, Deputy National Secretary. They stated that the decision was taken at a National Executive Council meeting of the party held in Asaba and attended by members of the National Working Committee, and also, of course, in attendance at the Asaba meeting were state chairmen and secretaries of the party and its presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi. Yeah, serious issues coming in for Lamidi Papa. Let's not forget that Abure was the national chairman of, the Labour Party, and then all of a sudden, some group of people in his Benin, ward said no, he was accused of anti-party and fraudulent activities, and that was how he was removed by the Supreme Court.
By High Court in Abuja, right?
Yes, and then Lamidi Papa became the next to be there as the acting national chairman. But now we have that the National Working Committee has said that even the Lamidi Papa of a man is also being accused of anti-party issues. I think I was reading an article where even the NLC, Nigerian Labour Congress, is saying, look,
they were there 2 days
yes, the Labour Party is more like a brainchild, is like a child, not even a brainchild, is like a child of, the Nigerian Labour Congress. And so if the children are having issues, or the child is having issues, then the mother, which is the Nigerian Labour Congress, needs to step in, and they are stepping in to say that, look, we do not even want Lamidi Papa anymore. Of course, the Asaba meeting was also attended by the party's National Assembly members, elect officials of INEC, those of the NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, according to the statement. So more like, we've come together, let's put heads together and see how we can solve this problem. Don't also forget that the conversation has always been the third force that is rising seems to be the major opposition party as we speak, pushing the People's Democratic Party aside. But when we have all of these issues come together, it begins to even shift the attention of a lot of people from even the main issue that Mr. Peter Obi is taking to the tribunal as regards the mandate, according to him, that has been stolen. So I think that it is very necessary for the Labour Party to come together, as the National Working Committee has said, throw out the bad eggs. Let me even use the words of the Nigerian Labour Congress now. He says rodents, rodents have infected the party. So let them sift the grain from the shaft and see how their party can move forward, so that everybody is concentrated on the bigger picture, which is even the tribunal cases in court.
Well, it's good to see that the Labour Party family has, woken up very early to address the issues that seemed to have encroached and started eating at the fabrics of the Labour Party in the past 2 weeks. So there were some allegations, even on some of the conversations we've had this past week, that we shouldn't forget that sometimes you're going to experience infiltrations coming into the Labour Party from opposition just to weaken their stance. And then I remember someone commenting that if externals can have access into your house, it also means that you have people within the party that are willing to work against the party. And I think the move of the NLC going to the national headquarters of Labour Party in an attempt to overhaul all of the things that have been happening there recently was a good move, because I believe that has greatly given birth to this particular meeting that has seen the suspension of Lamidi as the party's chairman. So it's just good that the Labour Party sits back and looks at what is most important to them, because there is all the likelihood of getting distracted by intra-party wranglings after you have done the most work. I mean, you're heading to the tribunals. It's not like you're having fresh conversations of come vote for us. So while you're having a lot of infightings and divisions, this person should be leader, or that other person shouldn't be leader. And when we talk about the interferences of, like, let's say the court or other jurisdictions into party activities, is also worrisome, because when we heard that Abure had been overhauled and given given a court injunction not to parade himself as the chairman of the Labour Party. That in itself is a worrisome move, because some of these activities majorly are to be catered for by the party, by the party's convention, by the party's board of trustees. So how do we get a few people move along, get a court order, and then the chairman that was collectively agreed on is taking off seat? But it's good that Labour Party has woken up in time, and we do hope that they can drive this home very effectively. It will really help the party. Like the NLC said, it's a collective effort of Nigerians. It's not just like a political party that certain people came together to give birth to. That era of the Labour Party has passed, because the birth of this Labour Party is the one that is driven by Nigerians, and the NLC has said we are at the center of these, and we will not see unscrupulous elements or rodents come into the party and scatter the work we have. Yes, hijack. I think that's like even the word, hijack all the work that they have put in this past few months that brought them this close, third place in the election, and whatever other conversations that they have. So this is absolutely good.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see how everything gets to play out anyways. But let's look at a very major story for the morning. This seems to be a whole lot of, will I say relief?
Is it to some areas? Is a breaking news.
Well, breaking news, but I think it has puts the whole tension around the Adamawa Guba rerun elections, to a rest, kinda. Yes, because of course we saw the INEC, yes, INEC declare Fintiri, who is the incumbent governor of Adamawa State, declare him as winner yesterday, following all of the dramas that was associated with the Guba supplementary elections on Saturday. I think 1 month away from, 1 month away from the whole Guba elections, from the 18th of March up until yesterday. It makes it 1 month, and all of the dramas that ensued. But again, we saw that Mr. Fintiri won the supplementary election with a total number of 9,337 votes. And then he defeated his closest rival, Aisha Dahiru, popularly called Binani, of the All Progressives Congress APC, who came second in the poll with 6,513 votes. Mr. Fintiri and Mrs. Dahiru are the major contenders in the governorship poll. The supplementary poll was held in 69 polling units in the 20 local governments and the states, with less than 40,000 eligible voters. Now, at the 18th March governorship poll, before it was declared inconclusive, Mr. Fintiri was leading with over 30,000 votes.
It's good to see the returning officer Mohammed Mele declared the incumbent Fitiri of the People's Democratic Party winner on Tuesday. Okay, this is a lot of varying numbers.
Yeah, but let's take a listen to that particular footage that we had earlier on. We give credit to Channel's Television for this particular footage.
These ones are fainter. And again.
Professor Mohammed Lamin Mele hereby certify that I am the returning officer for the 2023 Adamawa State Governorship election held on the 15th day of April 2023. The election was contested. The candidates received the following votes. Tahir Hussaini, AA, 643. Usman Mohammed Shua, ADC, 3024 3024. Babangida Umaru, ADP 2174 2174. Dahiru Ahmed Aishatu, APC 396,788 396,788. Sholi Yahya Abga 892 892. Babajo Bello APM 606 606. Adam Abdulkadir Isa APP 286 286. Mustafa Umar Madawaki LP 2732 2732. Muhammad Shibadu Saad Tahir NNPP 4852 4852. Abba Maina Aliyu NRM 1272 1272. Umaru Ahmadu Fintiri PDP 430,861 430,861. Baba Inna Ibrahim PRP 1188 1188. Ardo Umar SDP 6,870 6870. Maigana Ismaila Musa YPP 1431 1431. Dadu Amron ZLP 200 200. That Umaru Ahmadu Fintiri of PDP, having satisfied the requirement of the law, is hereby declared the winner and returned.
You can see the jubilation there and the joy right there. And like I said, it's worthy of notice that the returning officer emphasized that he's the one who's been vested with the powers of the law to be able to make that particular announcement. And like he said earlier, all of that tension has been laid to rest. The collation was completed, counting was done, and like it was even before the reg, hesitantly announced Aishat Binani as the winner. The numbers for the People's Democratic Party was already ahead of theirs. So it's good to see that all of this was addressed and INEC was able to quickly address the situation. We also see that INEC decided to address some of the other wranglings, of course, of
issues related to this particular election.
Exactly, that arose out of the Adamawa State supplementary election. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it will write the Inspector General of Police, Baba Ahmed, to investigate and prosecute the resident electoral commissioner for Adamawa State, Hudwari. Now, the commission reached the decision on Tuesday at the which was yesterday at the technical meeting attended by national commissioners of INEC. We will remember that yesterday they were in a closed door meeting of all INEC commissioners. So this is one of the decisions that was made out of that closed door meeting. Now, INEC also decided to write the secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, to brief the president, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, about the action of the reg. Now, these are some of the very important steps, because people will continue to ask what has been done about the reg that aired, the guidelines of INEC. But it's good to see now like we know, INEC is not vested with the powers to prosecute the REC, but it's going to recommend, for investigation. Why did you usurp the process?
The power.
Questions need to be asked. The investigation needs to be made before we can, get any, what would I call it, final punitive measure that will be brought to the REC.
Yeah.
And I know that this is meant to serve as a deterrent to so many other people.
Well, we will find out if it actually serves as a punitive measure. But like we had said, a lot of turns and twists following the Adamawa, Guba rerun elections that held on Saturday. Aside from Yunusa, who was the REC of INEC at the time, we also have the Inspector General of Police, of course, by Osman Baba, who has ordered that the Commissioner of Police on duty in Adamawa State, Mohammed Bade, withdrawn from the state with immediate effect. Now, it brings the question, what is the relationship between the Commissioner of Police in Adamawa State, Yunusa, the REC of Adamawa State at that point, and all of the supplementary elections that happened during that period? What is the relationship? Was there some kinds of connivances, ongoing? But I think that more than some of the speculations, Nigerians should know, as a matter of fact,
why,
and a matter of urgency, why some of this, issues came up. When we say that Yunusa is saying that, look, I had orders from above to make this announcement and to usurp the powers of the, returning officer. Then we should know exactly where this power of above
who is this above?
Who is the above?
Who is above? Exactly.
Right? We should be able to know. So we were talking the other day about systemic failures, right? So when we talk about systemic failures, these are the kind of issues that we refer to as systemic failure, where you try to cover up some people and then show some people. Now, Nigerians are really interested in this particular story. We are interested in who is the power of the above. We are interested in who gave the orders.
Exactly.
We are interested in why Binani was that, desperate. We are just interested in the story. So nothing should be covered. It goes beyond saying that, we have withdrawn the Commissioner of Police in Adamawa State. We are sending him to another state. Now, why? Even if you send him to another state, what gives Nigerians the confidence that whatever he did in Adamawa State cannot be replicated somewhere else?
Except we are saying that, and I know this is mostly speculation, except we are saying that there is no direct relation to his deployment to another state with the supplementary elections. Except we're just saying it happened, but happens to have happened at the same time rather.
Happenstance.
But if it has any relationship with the supplementary elections, we will not forget that security plays a vital role in the election process. Because what did the security agents see and wave off, that gave birth to some of the indiscretions that we saw during the election? All of the facets and every unit that was involved in the wholesome production of the election cycle needs to be investigated, needs to be probed. So if these redeployment has anything whatsoever to do with the just concluded supplementary elections, then, like he said, we deserve more than a glossed over information of we have redeployed him to another state. We need to know what exactly is happening.
If he is in connivance with what happened, then he should be probed rather than be withdrawn and taken to another state. He should rather be probed as well.
We keep asking the questions of the weight of punishment for people that err, because, for instance, let's say, out of the speculations that this Commissioner of Police in Adamawa State was, got himself in the breach of all of this, and the punishment you get, is that you're deployed from Adamawa State to another
state.
That's
not deterrent.
What deters another person from doing it and knowing that, okay, once I finish, they will just, send me to another state, and that's the end of the story. So we need to, have systems in place that really check when someone errs against the structural guides of any institution in this country.
Yeah.
If we must move forward.
Yeah, definitely. If we must move forward, we need to check some of the things that we do, even as leaders in our country, and then give way to it says he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Let's always come to equity with clean hands. On that note, we just put a pause on all of these conversations and head straight to the news brief desk, where we have Mary Joseph standing by for the news brief. And when we come back, trust me, more interesting conversations will be coming your way this morning. Just stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
And now, this service will finally be recognized.
Come May 17th this year, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather at a hotel and suites for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and excellence in the broadcast media. Voting starts on 20th April and ends on 4th May 2023. Visit www.tnbawards.ng to vote now. They've served and they're still serving. It's time we say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Bonn.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai and Yekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on StarTimes to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Government, Secretary General, delegates.
This was the Lagos Nigerian for Spectrum TV to recover for the lapses taken into account.
Welcome to your morning news brief on Spectrum. I am Mary. Begin today's news brief with the reports that the 2023 Population and Housing Census, the National Population Commission has urged enumerators and supervisors not to shy away from conflict and rejection. The NPC noted that conflict was expected to spring up during the census, adding that the NPC staff should be prepared to manage any eventuality that may occur. In another development, the National Emergency Management Agency has confirmed receiving 107 stranded Libya returnees at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos State. The Lagos coordinator, Nema Ibrahim Farin-Loye, in a statement said the agency's Director General, Alhaji Mustafa Ahmed, represented by the Chief Relief and Rehabilitation Officer, Aziz Afunko, disclosed that the new set of returnees brought the total number of assisted voluntary returnees to about 690 in 5 flights landing at the airports. Meanwhile, the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress shelved talks on the controversial zoning of the 10th National Assembly leadership and its emergency meeting on Monday. The 2-hour closed-door meeting, which took place at the party's headquarters in Abuja, was chaired by the ABC Deputy National Chairman North, Abubakar. Meanwhile, the Chinese government has denied funding militants to access Nigerian mining sites, adding that it will never be involved in any form of terrorism financing. China had reacted to a report by a British news platform, The Times, about financing terrorists to access Nigeria's mineral resources through a statement denying its involvement. Heading straight to the foreign scene, the World Health Organization on Tuesday said the violence that broke out in Sudan on Saturday had claimed 270 lives, while about 2,600 people had been injured. The Director General, World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, at a virtual press briefing said about 3 workers from the World Food Programme have also been killed. He condemned all loss of life, adding that the World Health Organization stands in solidarity with the people of Sudan. The heaviest fighting is currently in Khartoum. And finally, in sport, Nigeria's Flying Eagles will find out their 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup opponent on Friday, April 21st, when the draw will be made at the home of FIFA in Zurich. The Flying Eagles qualified for the World Cup after finishing in 3rd place at the 2023 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations in Egypt last month. The Flying Eagles are in pot 3 alongside Uzbekistan, Japan, Iraq and Honduras, and also Fiji. We'll have details of these stories and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine where we have Janice and Uyai on standby. Do have a wonderful morning.
Government, Secretary General, delegates, as of government, Secretary General, delegates.
This will be Lagos, Nigeria today, for Spectrum TV to report for the lapses taken into account.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
And now, this service will finally be recognized.
Come May 17th this year, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather at a hotel and suites for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and excellence in the broadcast media. Voting starts on 20th April and ends on 4th May 2023. Visit www.tnbawards.ng to vote now. They've served and they're still serving. It's time we say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Bonn.
Every society.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Rise and Shine, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. On Rise and Shine, we bring you topical issues happening around the country. This morning, we looked at the fact that the Independent National Electoral Commission has announced the incumbent governor of Adamawa State, Mr. Fintiri, as the winner of the supplementary elections that was held in the state last Saturday. Of course, bringing down the tension that was brewing right there in the state. We also saw some flash news around the nation. A hostel in a particular university in Benin City which caught fire. Of course, no one was lost, and the casualties, apart from certain things, documents and the rest, everyone was safe. Mary Joseph brought us tidbits of global news from everywhere. Of course, details of that will come in our main bulletin, but at this time we move straight on to our daily spotlight, where we bring you stories from the front pages of our national dailies.
We just flipped through the front pages of our national dailies this morning. Let's see some of the major stories making it on the front page. We start now with the Nation newspaper, where we have the big story as INEC, IG, Hammer, REC, CP as court holds Binani. Of course, stories there from Adamawa State as it concerns the rerun elections on Saturday. Moving on, we also see that the writer of that particular story says Fintiri is Adamawa governor-elect. And we also have Binani, I didn't pay 2 million naira bribe. Okay, let's move forward now to some other stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper, where it says court voids NNPCL board's decision in last 15 months. We also have that DFO report, Nigeria faulting in Chinese loan repayments. Moving on, aviation unions threaten indefinite strike. Negotiations begin. You can find that story on page 2. Labour Party next sacks AG, Chair, Apapa, and 4 others. You can find that story on page 4. It says, the writer says, National Working Committee tenure extended. NBA seeks release of its abducted ex-president Wally. NBA seeks release of its abducted ex-president Wally. 84,000 candidates sit for rescheduled mock UTME. And those are all the stories that we have on the front page of the Nation.
We move straight up now to the Punch newspaper. Look at the front page of the Punch newspaper. And the very big story there says Adamawa government Fintiri floors Binani. INEC takes Rex case to Buhari. Page 2 is where you can find that story. Fintiri polls 430,861 votes to defeat APC's candidate. 13 others PDP supporters jubilate. I didn't pay 2 billion naira for declaration, says Binani as court rejects request to stop results. INEC asks SGF to report wreck to Buhari. IG orders Gombe CP to oversee Adamawa post-poll security. I think that's very important to be sure that security is in place for this particular time. Okay, striking workers begin airport shutdown next week. Page 12 is where you can find the particular story. Shell removes 460 illegal connection on Trans-Niger pipeline. We also see here National Assembly leadership, APC Working Committee awaits Tinubu Adamu's meeting. We also have here things fall apart in Warri. That's a very troubling outturn of events right there for me. Husband tackles Lagos hospital as wife dies after childbirth. Very sad story. We have here NCAA probes Lagos Amsterdam flight story uncovered in Schiphol. Page 41. We also join the Punch family to celebrate Punch at 50. And that's all we have on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Okay, let's look at the Daily Sun now and find out what exactly is happening there. Of course, the Adamawa Guba rerun election seems to be the major stories across the national dailies this morning. We have that Fintiri wins Adamawa Guba as heads continue to roll. Of course, the rider there polls 430,788 to defeat APC candidate who garnered 398,788 votes. IGP removes police commissioner. INEC asks IGP to investigate and prosecute wreck. Aviation workers locked out of offices as unions lay siege to Lagos International Airport. You can get that story on page 25 of the Daily Sun. Court nullifies Ararume's removal as NNPC board chair, awards 5 billion naira damages. Details of that story is on page 4. APC expels Senator Guje over anti-party activities. Page 28 is where you get details of that story. Moving on to insecurity, scores of bandits, vigilantes, kidnap victims killed in Niger gun duel. You can find details of that story on page 4. Moving on, Buhari to commission second Niger bridge before May 29. Of course, from his chief of staff there, Gambari. You can find details of that story on page 21. COVID-19 aboard, let me see this, virucidin liquid has potential for treatment, says NIMRDG. Details can be gotten on page 6, and that's all that we have. And of course, we also joined the Sun family to celebrate their 20th anniversary. This national daily seems to be really old.
They've done us good.
Yes, they've really done us good. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll move straight now to take the Vanguard newspaper. The big story there says Adamawa Guba crisis. Of course, we're still leaning in on Adamawa. At last, INEC declares Fintiri winner. As INEC writes, IGP SGF 6 sack, arrest prosecution of Adamawa reg. Fintiri commends INEC for standing firm. extends hands of fellowship to contenders. It's victory for democracy and PDP. Atiku congratulates Fintiri, says victory well deserved. IGP replaces Adamawa CP over governor polls. Okay. APC candidate Aisha loses bid to stop results announcement as court declines to hear her ex parte motion. Adjourns case till April 26. Okay, we also have here on the front page electricity discourse revenue falls 25% as unmetered customers increase by 190,000. Page 19 is where you can find that story. Kidnapped Kaduna female student escape from terrorist den. China denies funding terrorists to access Nigerian mineral reserves. Aviation workers adamant over total shutdown of airports. Presidential poll. I am not afraid of lies and propaganda, says Peter Obi. We also see here renewed killings. Buhari's parting gift, Northern Christian elders. Page 25. 10th NAS. Why South deserves Senate presidency. Pandef. That story can be found on page 8. Ararume. Lawyers expert raised concern on NNPCL stability. Court restores him as NNPCL chairman. Page 12 is where you can find that story. My family conspired against me, voted Peter Obi, says Umahi. Okay. Flight cancellation. Passengers to get 100% immediate refund, says NCAA. Okay, we also have here in sports, Barca, Benfica, Porto, Monitor gift Orban. These are all the stories that we have on the front pages of the Vanguard newspaper.
Let's look at this day very, very quickly. More stories here on Adamawa. But court nullifies Buhari's removal of Ararume as NNPC Limited chairman and slams a 5 billion naira charge against the federal government. Looking at different stories that couldn't be found anywhere else on the papers this morning, but I think that's just operators seek alignment between NUPRC and MDRPRA in all regulations. Of course, Komolafe admits overlap between regulatory agencies. High interest rates, inflammatory pressure, affects scarcity, halting manufacturing sector. Now that's another really interesting story there. I think those are just some major stories there, aside from the Adamawa story here that seems to cut across all our national dailies this morning. Those are just the exceptions there on this day newspaper. So
Nigerian Tribune actually has, a widespread of different stories, and it's really beautiful to, to look at. We see here that Abure gets 12 months extension as Labour Party NEC suspends Apapa and 5 others. So we can expect that Abure is going to be at the helms of affairs
as a national chairman.
Yes, national chairman for another 12 months. That's a year. Then we also see here subsidy removal. Best economic decision to reduce Nigeria's debt, says LCCI, page 6 is where you can find that story. We have here, okay, good. 8 kidnapped female students of Kaduna School escape from terrorists. Then awesome. So posers on dead stowaway discovered on Lagos KLM outbound plane. Worrisome. Aviation workers give the federal government another 7-day ultimatum. Heavy security presence at Lagos airport. Court sacks park managers reinstate RTEAN in Lagos. Search for shower moon tomorrow. Sultan tells Muslims. Of course, the Ramadan fast is still ongoing, and it's coming to a gradual close. And that's all we have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Serious matters arising, everywhere. I think we can land on saying congratulations to, the governor-elect of Adamawa State. He's that story cuts across all the national dailies this morning. As even the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party has said this is a big win for democracy and a big win for the People's Democratic Party. But as worrisome as it is, we continue to see that the third day going, the aviation workers are still bent on seeing through with their strike. Just attempting to push forward their plea to the federal government to look into certain things, especially their minimum wage, as it were. So.
Yeah, serious issues. I like that the issue of the aviation sector has come up again on the front pages of our national dailies. It's quite worrisome, where you get to lock offices of workers, and all of that, and there's a halt in flight schedules and all of that too. So yes, it makes life a little bit unbearable for Nigerians, just like we were saying yesterday. But what are those measures that have been put in ground now? According to what we have on the papers, negotiations have started. We expect these negotiations to be more prompt and more proactive, and at the end of whatever negotiations that we are having, because we have situations where these kinds of negotiations are being held, and then at some point government does not keep to their own side of the bargain. They say they are going to do this, and at the end of the day, workers go back to work, to service providing, to production and all of that. And at the end of the day, the federal government does not keep to its own side of the bargain. So if whatever negotiations is ongoing right now for the aviation sector, it should be such that at the end of the day, we have the aviation sector keeping to their side of the bargain, and government also keeping to their own side of the bargain, so that we have a more robust aviation sector. And let's not also forget that I was reading an article yesterday. It's quite gloomy for the aviation sector as we speak. I just hope that we'll be able to get across to our guests this morning, so that we break down some of those things, right, and see what exactly is the problem, what exactly are the challenges that the aviation sector is facing, aside from having coming out to cry for better welfare. Aside from that, what are those challenges that we have? You go to the airports today, you see that most of our airports are dilapidated, and all of that. They are not in a good state where you say that, oh, this is an international airport, as compared to all, airports that we see in other climes.
Yes.
Would we say that the kinds of airports that we have are good enough for the image of the country? All of that. So I think that the problem that we have in the aviation sector goes beyond just demanding for better welfare. It goes into even saying how we can begin to build better structures in an aviation sector to project the image of the Nigerian people.
It's good that we bring a solution to that particular issue. And I also like to add, when having those negotiations, it should reach the people that do the work. Sometimes we just treat surface issues when addressing some of these matters. You promise what you cannot do, and eventually do not ever get around to doing it. This is today is the third day, and the aviation workers are saying they are driving this particular strike move to the international terminals. So it's going to be more difficult for you to have international flights landing and taking off. That's a major problem. It's grounding a sector that is already struggling.
Exactly.
So it needs to be addressed quickly. Some quarters are of the opinion that, oh yes, it is the the federal government might quickly address this issue because it affects the movements of elites in the country. In as much as that should not be the case, but we are talking of foreign direct investments here in the country. We have different airlines from all across the world that do business on our, in our airspace. It's important to make sure that they have a good working environment and atmosphere to carry out their businesses. I mean, they didn't come here to play. So this particular strike move by the aviation workers at this time is biting. It just feels like a lot of things in the Nigerian economy seems to be grinding to a halt all at the same time. We have the subsidy removal, closing in on us, and we're talking about palliative of 5,000 naira to families, and Ipman is saying there needs to be another way out. We do not want people to buy fuel as high as 800 naira in the country. So there's a lot of things. We seem to have all our system grinding to a halt almost at the same time, when we have been in democracy for 22 years, independence as a country over 60 years. The question remains, where is Nigeria heading at this time with all of these kinds of issues? But then this is an opportunity for Nigerians to get to call in and make their contributions on certain issues raised on the front pages of our national dailies, and or the announcement of the governor-elect of Adamawa State. Of course, the incumbent, Mr. Fintiri, won that particular election again. But several things. The front pages of our national dailies are splattered with different newsworthy information. I like the fact that Abure has been restated.
When you read that, I was wanting to ask, has the court actually lifted whatever injunction it had placed on him to parade himself as the national chairman of the Labour Party? But again, I think that just like we were trying to talk about initially, when we have issues like this of leadership in parties, let it be that it is the internal affair of such parties, and let the people that own the party come together, the board of directors, or board of trustees, or national working committee. It should be their honors to do in terms of cleaning up their messes, cleaning up their house, and putting their house back in order. So if they feel that Julius Abure is the right person to lead the leadership of the people of the Labour Party, then they should have it. Now, when we even talk about Julius Abure, we also give it to him. We'll give it to him because it is in his tenure as national chairman of the Labour Party that we have gotten the Labour Party has gotten a governor, 6 Senate members. We have I think about
37 or
38 reps members.
Yes, I think they're about
across the country. Okay, so it's making a significant difference in the politics of the country as we speak. So if Julius Abure's administration have been able to achieve that, I think that the leadership tussle. Now, let's not also forget that the issue of leadership in the Labour Party even birthed before even the likes of Peter Obi came in to contest under that party. They've had that leadership tussle for the longest of time. So, but the point is, whatever it is that we have as leadership issues in the Labour Party. Okay, I think we have a call. Let's take our first caller for the morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Melafia Ilya. I'm calling from Nasarawa State.
We didn't quite get your name. If you don't mind to repeat it, please.
My name is Melafia Ilya.
Lafia
Ilya.
Okay.
All right.
We'll just stick with Lafia.
Melafia. Yes.
Okay, Melafia Ilya. All right, from Nasarawa State. Good morning.
From Nasarawa State.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, and go ahead.
Good morning. I actually want to make a comment on the Adama's election.
Okay, go ahead.
It's quite unfortunate that this kind of thing is happening in Nigeria. And a high-ranking officer of the INEC in the state will be doing this, then there must be something motivating or there's something behind it. And I thank God that the authority did not take it lightly with him. And I want to suggest that they should interrogate him thoroughly so that they will know what really motivates him to do that, or what is behind him doing that. Which he knows that the law stated that the REC cannot declare a winner of an election, only the returning officer. It's so obvious, man. And if this kind of thing will be happening in Nigeria and we let it go, then one day the country will turn into anarchy. And I wouldn't want to sound somehow rude on the air.
Please don't.
And if this kind of, that was what I'm saying, if this kind of ranking officer, the highest ranking officer in the INEC office and in Adamawa say will do this, Sorry, it's quite unfortunate.
Thank
And
you,
we need to be
Melafia.
very, very careful, because this kind of declaration can turn to, what will I say? The military can take over.
Definitely, the military will not take over
because
at
it
this
has been
point.
given
Yes,
rest.
it has been given rest.
Let me
Fintiri
tell
has
you,
been announced as the winner of the
this is a
supplementary
very, very
rerun
serious.
elections.
This is a very, very serious issue. Let me put it, could be election coup.
Yeah, but Ilya, the governor incumbent, Mr. Fintiri, has been announced by INEC as the verified and correct winner of the supplementary election.
Yes,
So pretty much it's just mop up.
what I'm saying, what the rec did is something that will instigate problem. Yes.
Yeah, I think I get your point now. I get your point. You're trying to say that beyond just taking him off as a wreck of INEC, more investigation should be done. Let Nigerians know exactly who asked him to make such declaration in the first place. It should be in the open space for the public to know, like we said earlier.
Yes, and we'll be following it up to see how it's going to
Yes, all right. Yes, thank you for your contribution. I think another very big question on the heel of what he just said is the fact that even when we make this probe, for instance, the rec said, "I did this out of orders from above." When you investigate and get above and find out who above is, do we have what it takes to
bring down the above?
Exactly, because there's a place where this investigation is going to get to, and
it's swept under the carpet.
It's going to disappear. By next week, it will not look like there was a usurpation.
And let's not also forget, there is also an allegation of a 2 million naira bribe.
2 billion naira bribe. And then the police CSP, CP rather, in Adamawa was redeployed to another state in connivance. That's what our National Daily said this morning. In connivance with the governorship poll held in Adamawa. So there's a lot of mix and twist in all of this. But as he was just speaking, I just thought to myself, when you get above, who exactly is going to address the person who gave the orders? If we ever get to find it out, we
will still nail it on systemic failures in the country, because these are the kinds of things that we sweep under the
carpet. Doesn't have backing. Exactly.
And it brings a problem. So if he cannot solve it now, when would he be able to solve it? It's another issue. Anyways, our phone lines are still open. Please, you can be a part and parcel of our conversations while we set up for our guest on the gloomy state of the Nigerian aviation sector. This is one issue that we have in the country, aside from us seeing that the aviation unions are embarking on a strike. What are the major challenges facing the aviation sector, and how can we pull out of the murky waters or this quagmire in the aviation sector? If our guest is ready, we might just as well take him, but if not, we'll still open our phone lines to more calls as we move forward at this point in time. Yeah, serious concerns, I must say. There's a particular story that caught my attention. I really don't know. I was expecting to hear from Sonny from Benin. Things fall apart in Benin, and then we have the picture of the traditional ruler.
Things fall apart in Warren of the story. It's just controversy between who is to be installed and who is not getting installed. That whole drama around the monarchical system is something we shouldn't be seeing now. But we do hope that the Olu of Warri is vested with the requisite wisdom to bring calm to that particular situation. We saw him request that a particular office holder be deroged, and then he crowned another person in that particular order. But we hope that he has the requisite wisdom to handle this, because that particular office in recent days has been a particular office that has been built, has details of what is really happening there and what what effects this has. We'll really love for you to call us and let us know what is happening in Warri, how you're faring, and what your hopes are, as to how this particular issue is going to be resolved. But yeah, major stories there. What else did we see at the front page of the newspaper? Oh,
I think before we even wrap up on the conversation or on the elections in Adamawa State, something that is of major concern is why the president has not spoken. I know that he's in Saudi Arabia as we speak for the whole Hajj festival and all of that, but we've heard a couple of times that even from the very inception of all the dramas that happened in Adamawa rerun elections, they have been feeding him. He also had meetings with the INEC, EFCC, and some other stakeholders in Saudi Arabia. What is the outcome of the meeting? What has he said categorically about what is happening? So it's not just a matter of Buhari as president of Nigeria wounding up on his administration, promising Nigerians a whole in Daura. It goes beyond that. It's something that Nigerians should be asking the question: has he actually left that legacy? Has he kept to his promise of giving us a free, fair election? Because if you look at this and try to criticize it or critique it from different angles, you find out that a lot of Nigerians are of the opinion that this is the worst kind of election ever in the annals of the history of the country. So we need a president to actually say something. It goes beyond having meetings and not coming out to say anything. Address Nigeria from wherever it is that you are, and let Nigerians know exactly your thoughts, because it still brings us back to even the whole inception of the campaigns and elections and everything. The body language, the president comes out and says one thing, but his body language says a different thing altogether. And then there's always that phrase that says that action speaks louder than words. So there's how you do and present yourself. People just feel that, okay, you're in connivance or you're in accordance with whatever is happening, in Adamawa State and all of that. So we need categorical statements from the president from wherever he is, reacting to what is
been gathered and will be sent to him through one of his spokespersons. So let's hope that upon the announcement of INEC as to the fact that Fintiri won, that the president is going to pick. Let's take our very last call, and that's where we'll be dropping this particular segment this morning. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, good morning.
Tony, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Well, in order not to waste time, one thing I just want to establish is this. INEC we have is INEC of ages. It's not INEC completely independent of Nigeria. If you have the rec that announced this thing in Adamawa, what he was saying, he said he was appointed by Buhari and not from anybody. And before this election, people was agitating, remove the Election Commissioner of Adamawa State and replace with another person. The federal government, they said deaf ear to it. I think we are living in a country where people rejoice in doing evil. 2 billion naira, what will we lead those people? I know it's a huge amount. The 2 billion naira you get, that will be, at the end of the day, you are not doing business with it. But the highest, they will just go and buy house and all these things. And buy house at the end, sometimes before they die, they will be storing all these things that they bought with illegal money. It's quite unfortunate. We have not had Messiah in this country. And I think we pray to God to assist us. Yeah, INEC is not completely they are not completely independent from what we are seeing. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think I'll just quickly lean on what Udensi said yesterday, total overhaul of the electoral body in Nigeria. And then very quickly there was a thought, okay, so when he talked about 2 billion naira, and then the highest our political officers would do is to buy a house, and then the thought came, Code of Conduct Bureau, declaration of assets. How will you be declaring an asset that you bought from bribery money?
Or the one that you bought in your mother's name, or the one you bought in your children's name, because at the end of the day you say it's not true.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, like you said, systemic error. Is what our system is screaming troubleshoot, Nigeria, troubleshoot. I think that's just where we are. But who to pounce on that button for the whole system to be troubleshooted is what we are waiting for. Like Tony just said, Nigeria has not had a Messiah. We just keep praying and still keep hoping.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so our guest is ready. Let's look at the gloomy state of our aviation sector. What seems to really be the problem? We have Chidebere Ohadoma. He's joining us from the US. He is so many things in the aviation sector: aviation ground instructor and chief ground instructor for Universal School of Aviation. He is also a quality and safety manager for GYROL Limited, and of course the flight dispatcher, Nigeria CAA and FAA. He's also aircraft maintenance engineer, and a whole lot, attached to his profile this morning. Good morning, Chidebere. I'm saying good morning because it's morning in Nigeria, so forgive me, please. I'll have to say good morning.
It's fine. It's also morning here. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning.
Okay.
It's just the early hours of the morning here.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So, we also have Uyai here. So, Uyai.
Good morning, Chidebere. Very good to have you on set this morning with us. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so let's talk aviation. A lot of issues are going on. I would even like to lean back as far as Hadi Sirika's purchase of 10 trucks to the tune of how many trillion naira now?
20 billion.
I think it was, yes, 20 billion naira thereabouts. I'll confirm those figures. But for me, I would say that the trouble started from there, because if I were to be an aviation worker and I see the person at the helms of affairs buy us 10 trucks for one singular airport in the country to the tune of billions, and then certain other infrastructural needs and welfare needs that have continued to be requested for have not been handled, we probably would have actually gone to the street, to tender our issues. So let's just look over, overall, what is really happening in the aviation sector. If we did not run from the what's the fuel now?
Jet A1.
Jet A1. If it was not a Jet A1 issue, now we are coming to the fact that flight activities are grounded nation.
Oh, aviation, my home. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, viewers all over the world. This issue has been around for about 8 years now. So while the new administration came in, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, while the new administration came in, the aviation body spoke to the administration. They needed a review in the remuneration package. Now, the reason is they pay the parastatal the way they pay the civil servants, but a pilot is earning 6 digits and he comes to the parastatal, you're paying him maybe 5 digits or you're paying him 4 digits. And what he's doing in his own calculation, he considered that payment below expectation. The current administration made so many promises to the industry. Okay, we're going to review this, we're going to review this, and it's always, oh, we are working on it, we are working on it, until the truck issue came up. Now, when the current administration used that huge sum to purchase truck, the industry is like, okay, you said that you don't have money, and now you're buying this amount of truck for this amount that you declared. So that means there's money somewhere. That is one. Second, the administration did something that a lot of us in the industry didn't consider wise. Lagos is the operational hub. Every parastatal, the operational arm of every parastatal is based in Lagos. NCA, for instance, if you want to get to process your license, is in Lagos. You want to do major things like urgent, you could do it in Lagos. Now you want to move the NCA from Lagos to Abuja. You move all the headquarters to Abuja. So I have something to do. I will drop my letter in Lagos. With all your bureaucracy, that letter will go around Lagos. then go to Abuja for the director to sign, send it back to Lagos for the Lagos people to activate. So for we in the industry, a process that's supposed to take me 2 days end up taking me 2 weeks. In fact, for me, for one, I wrote to the authority, like, I do not understand what is happening here. This process is delaying. So you are forcing people to come to Abuja, and now you say you want to demolish the office in Lagos. We originally were suffering the fact that you're moving things to Abuja, where the hub is in Lagos. It doesn't make any operational sense, if you understand what that means. So why do you want to do that? What's the rationale behind that? There's none. AIB was destroyed. The facility for AIB that used to be in Lagos was destroyed. But till date, nothing significant has happened on the property that you destroyed. Yet you want to destroy other facility. It doesn't make any rational. It doesn't make any sense to the airmen in the industry. Hence, people needed to voice out. Listen, sir, you cannot do this. Even if you want to do this, what is the plan? Make us understand what your plans are, so we see if it's something we can key into, but you're not doing that. Second, the remuneration you promise, nothing has been done. So what are the plans? So the question is, what is the plan?
Okay,
and they are not
let's come back a bit.
Let's
come back a bit, sir. Now, when you say that, you know, part of what you're kicking against is the demolition of the agency's headquarters, the aviation agency's headquarters in Lagos, and taking it to Abuja. I remember also that there's been a lot of demolition going on in the aviation sector in our airports. Now, one of which is even the demolition of private hangars, you know, in our airports. And don't you also think that this is more like tilted to revamping the Nigerian airports across the country?
Okay, let me I will answer that with
because
a question.
where I have a problem now is where I also have a little bit of problem is why the government is not outrightly telling the aviation sectors and its workers this is the major reason why we are demolishing the agency's headquarters or taking it to Abuja. But don't you also think that in line with all the revamping that is ongoing across airports in the country, this is part of it? We add it up, sum it all up with the 12 billion naira fire trucks that was acquired recently.
Anyway, I do not think so. I personally, this is my personal opinion, I do not think so.
Okay.
I will answer that with a question. Which government-owned airports has been efficient? Do we have any?
That's a big question.
MMA2 seem to be more efficient than international airports. Legend, the private hangar, seems to be more efficient than even the international airport. So why not team up with the private sectors and make something meaningful? Why destroy it? That would be the only way I could answer that question. The new terminal building that was built, certain aircraft cannot use it, but we spend billions building that airport.
So it's a matter of waste. Would we say that?
For me, it's just a waste. It's just a waste.
Okay, so is a 12 billion naira invested in acquiring 10 fire trucks also a waste? Because the airports need it. The airports need it.
If you give me 12 billion, I will not get you 12 trucks. I think I could get you more than 20. That's the truth.
So the problem is in the amount that we are spending to solve problems, or we are saying we
are
use.
spending, yeah.
Yes, because I mean that was part of the controversies that trailed that particular purchase by Hadi Sirika. And like you said, it makes the aviation workers raise an eyebrow. Oh, so you have this amount of money to spend on fire trucks. Let's not even forget that certain parts of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, which seems to be, of course, is the hub, is the generator of all of this conversation, are not working. And a fraction of this 12 billion could have put that particular airport flying at this time. But let me lean on something that Janice was talking about. Some of these moves might look like they are geared towards expanding the aviation sector in the country. But I have a question. Why pull down private hangars for people, all of
Private
that.
jet owners.
Private jet owners. I think number one, that was a form of revenue generator for the aviation sector. So when you say you're destroying that to expand the airport right there, what's going to happen to that angle as a revenue generator? What are your thoughts?
When a snake chooses to eat her tail, at first the snake thinks she's feeding herself. By the end of the day, the snake will kill herself. That is what is about to happen.
That's worrisome. Okay. So while you're still, I know you're trying to put some more words together with the silence, but then let's also look at the impact it's having on, that silence.
The whole challenge is taking a toll on him right now.
It rang a really loud bell. But when you stretch into that, also look at how these affect our foreign investors in the aviation industry. All of this back and forth, let's move the headquarters to Abuja, let's break this. How is it affecting foreign direct investment in aviation?
Okay, the truth is that the foreign investors are scared. They are very uncertain what the future of the industry holds. And as such, nobody wants to bring fund into the industry. So hopefully the new administration will do something nice. But as it stands, even if I'm a foreigner, I would not want to invest in the industry at the moment.
I think we'll just quickly hang in there. We'll just quickly take this call now. Let's listen to what the caller has to say. Hello, good morning.
Good
morning.
Okay, that's definitely that's not a call for us. It must have been, yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we just delve back into our aviation conversation.
Okay, so for me, I think that aside from workers demanding for welfare, the aviation industry in itself has a lot of issues. Just like we're trying to address some of them now, demolition of private hangars that is supposed to be generating funds for the aviation sector and all of that. We also are coming from the end of the scarcity of Jet A1, where prices of flight tickets, skyrocketed and all of that. But let's look at deeply into some more of the challenges that we are facing in the aviation sector, aside from the ones we have mentioned earlier on in the course of the conversation. Would we say that there are other things that Nigerians do not know that is affecting the aviation sector? Of course, you've also mentioned waste of resources, where you're supposed to be using a particular amount to acquire this, and then there's the whole inflation in the prices of those things and all of that. But just let us into some of these issues challenging the aviation sector that we may not necessarily know as Nigerians.
Okay, let me just start with this. With regards to truck, Innocent manufactures cars, correct?
Correct.
Innocent builds SUVs. Innocent builds truck. So how come Innocent didn't do that vehicle? Probably cheaper. In recent time, you could also read on papers that they want to give you free Wi-Fi in the airport. And did you see the amount they were marking for Wi-Fi? You go outside the shore of Nigeria, take it to your neighboring country, Ghana. When you get to the airport, you have free Wi-Fi. You go to the air side in Ghana, if your pin drops to the floor, you're going to hear the sound. Do you have same in Nigeria? Do we have laws controlling noise? Yes. Do we implement them? No, until someone who is not on the good book of the government now wants to be picked on, that law will come in force. So the problem we have is we have fantastic laws, we have fantastic regulations that are not properly implemented. The industry would be viable if only we choose to implement the laws that we have. NCAT, Nigerian College of Aviation Technologies area, has a simulator. The simulator for NG. People that use NG in Nigeria, do they go to NCAT for their simulator training? I doubt. Couldn't the authority have, we have major guys, now currently we have more people using the Embraer 145. We have people using the CRJ, we have the classic aircraft Boeing in the country. Couldn't government bring in the simulator, partner with private individuals and have everybody and people around our neighboring African countries come and train in Nigeria? That will bring in more forex for us. So why are we not doing that? Because you need to let these things go out so that people in government can go for inspection and you pay them huge per diem and you buy them business class. So this way, the demand for forex is high. And the importers are not having enough forex to do imports. Next question, are we even supposed to be importing Jet A1? How many refineries do we have? What the promise that this current administration gave us with regards to refinery? So if we're refining our own product, would we have issue with forex in regards Jet A1? So our problem is internal. Our problem is, now, let me digress a bit. Yesterday I visited the Disney World and I was just looking at what someone that God created we together sat down to think. And I'm wondering, my own leaders, they come here, pay for express entry, and they are not thinking expressly to improve our lives. So the major problem we have is people in power failing to implement the right thing. So the right laws are there, but it's not properly implemented, and that's why we're in this mess.
So when we are talking implementation of laws, the agency, the aviation workers, the all of the IATAs, all of those other agencies under the aviation industry, what is your part to play in guaranteeing that some of these policies that you have said are good are implemented? Because I think to a very large extent, agencies have a part to play. Exactly. I mean, if you say that there are certain, you have a stimulator in Zaria, but people do not go to Zaria to check, get their stimulators done. Why is the agency not checking on that line themselves? I don't think this is something that we need a minister of the Federal Republic to come and implement. It just takes the overseers of the agency in the industry to make sure that people are following certain guidelines. So let's talk about implementation of policies as it behooves on the agencies in the aviation sector.
Okay. Let me cite that simulator for instance again. If I have a simulator, I personally cannot use it unless I have approvals to use it.
Where is the approval going to come from? Where is the approval going to come from? The
approval has to come from, first, the government. Second, the authority, which is the NCA. All right. Third, would I want to send my foreign crew to Zaria considering the insecurity? Do I want to risk that? Whose responsibility is it to secure that environment? So the basic things that are supposed to be put in place are not there. So what would the agency do?
Okay, so let's just say you're citing one, and we can see all the loopholes with regards to the simulator. So the simulator is just one thing that that we have in the mix. Let you have more knowledge in terms of other aspects where the agencies in the aviation can pin down. Are you still saying that either way you're still going to have a governmental encumbrance, security get in the way, another infrastructural issues in the country getting in the way of the agencies, impacting on implementation?
That's correct.
So it's more
We need
like you have
fuel.
the aviation.
We need fuel. You need to use your Nigerian own products. Who will do that? Government. What's the process to get a refinery a license? Who issues it? Government. The enabling environment has to be given by the government. Then every other person can latch onto it. So if government is not giving you the enabling environment, there's nothing you can do, absolutely nothing.
I like the fact that you've been able to mention some of the deficits, or deficiencies happening in the aviation sector. You've talked about private government partnership. You've talked about corruption. You've talked about policies, good policies, but no implementation. But the one that catches my interest now is what you talked about, when you try to say that government should even patronize itself rather than taking the few monies that we say we have, to other countries to be able to purchase other things. Now, you made mention of the fire trucks. It can be constructed or manufactured in Nigeria. Why don't we manufacture it in Nigeria? You're plunging back that money that you're investing in another country, you're plunging it back into your own economy to grow your economy. And then you've also talked about the fact that the Jet A1 can actually be produced here in Nigeria as well if our refineries are working. But I know that, taking my mind back now to one of those times that the aviation industry went on strike because of the Jet A1, there was conversations on allowing the unions to scout for the Jet A1 themselves. How far have that gone? Has it been able to be put to rest in terms of government collaboration, allowing you to source for Jet A1 yourself?
No, for now, you have to patronize the marketer. Government has not issued license to airline operator owners to import Jet A1 themselves, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's even look at the way forward, because I like when we are able to pick out some of these loopholes and great challenges. But sometimes when we talk about the challenges like this, it seems as if there's no light at the end of the dark tunnel.
We just sound helpless.
But again, it wouldn't be good if we do not see light at the end of the dark tunnel, because hope is the only last resort of man. Okay, so I think there's hope. So what are the way forward? Let's see, how do we get out of all of these issues? I hope now when we say way forward, we should go beyond government. Leaning from what Uyai has said, we also have unions, we have bodies in the aviation sectors. What is your role to play to make sure that we move forward? What is government's role to play to make sure that we also move forward? It's intertwined, we know, but let's see how we can categorically say that union, this is what you're supposed to do. Government, this is your own part to play.
Okay, let me start with the government. The government has to do the needful. One of the right thing to do is to ensure that the right person is in the right place, doing the right thing. If you get a square peg and you put that square peg in a round hole, there will be leakages, right? So the government has to do that. Second thing the government has to do is provide security, provide enabling environments. The government has to believe in herself. The people in government have to believe in themselves. Now, if you do not believe in yourself, how would people believe in you, right? So patronize yourself. Let's start from there. Then the union will now learn to understand the government and help communicate the plan of the government to the people. And as such, there will be synergy between the government and the people, because as it stands, the union is the intermediary between the staff or the people and the government in the industry. So government must learn to communicate more. Before you do this, you don't have the right people there, for instance. Discuss with the union. Union brings it down to the Congress. People will give you their own professional advice. Then the government will filter through to say, okay, which way will be best for us. But don't just wake up from one side of your bed and just decide you want to get something for the industry, even if it's not necessary. We have airports in Nigeria that you cannot go to after sunset. People can't go on the road because of insecurity. Who is supposed to provide the lightning system? Is the government. Now, if all those places are active, there will be more revenue in these areas, right? Mm-hmm. So all this is the basis is the government. Then that's the foundation. Then the building block will be the union. So if the foundation is messed up, then there's no point building anything.
Okay, so you seem to government. Let's hear what is the little that the union can do, because government can bring up these policies. We will not also agree, sit here and say that the union does not have a problem, or even those in the union are not, some of them are not square pegs in round holes or square pegs in triangle holes. Like, for example, I give you an example now. Excuse me, sir. I give you an example. If you go to some airports, you see that their toilet facilities are in shambles. I remember one time that it was even everywhere on social media, where you find airports leaking, literally leaking, as if the rain was pouring in torrents inside the airport. So these are not things that the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, should come and do, or even His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, when the airports are generating their funds. So please, let's know what the agency is going to do too.
Okay. In other clans, you have people responsible for taking care of this facility, right? In Nigeria, for each passenger that pass through each airport, the airline operator takes out a certain amount as maintenance fee and pay to the government. So if I've given you this money, you claim you want to use it to keep the facility maintained, and you are not doing it. We come to you to tell you, you say we're on it. So what should I come fighting you to shut down what you're supposed to be doing? As you fly, each time you fly, a certain percentage goes to NCA from your ticket.
And these are agencies of airports. These are agencies. So why is NCA or whatever union or body is in charge of some of these little things in the airport not doing their job? Delivering? Why are they not delivering?
Don't forget that the money goes to the single treasury account, and so many signatures needs to be on that document to release the money for those services.
So there's a whole lot of bureaucratic bottlenecks.
Exactly. So why not sublet that aspect to maybe a private sector, so we know who is responsible for that? The cleaner you're employing in the airport, a lot of them come to the airport because somebody in power recommended them, and they come to the airport and they are doing touting. If you talk to that cleaner, you will lose your job because that cleaner seems to be more powerful than you are.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay.
So you see, it's still the government issue. Sublet that arm to an agency to say, okay, this private individual, you are responsible for this. So if anything goes wrong, we know it's this company that is responsible for this. And these people let the masses know here you subcontract the cleaning to an agency, but that agency seems to be even more powerful than even the airline because of who
very quickly now.
the contract.
I think our time is up, but very quickly, let's even come back to the industrial action. We're still having it persist. Negotiation is ongoing. Do we see any light at the end of the dark tunnel concerning some of these negotiations being made as to the industrial actions?
Yes, the NCA, the DGCA, Captain Nuhu has stepped in. He's someone I respect. He's someone I admire so much. He stepped in and he's spoke to the union. I believe that things will come. He's someone that if he gives you his word, he tries to follow through. So having given his word, we're believing that he will likely follow through. So I see bright light at the end, yeah.
So there's great hope that this is going to end well for both the aviation workers and the federal government, because I think that the two parties involved in this particular tussle, right? Okay.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay.
I like the fact that, you ended with a broad smile on your face when you said that there's hope somewhere for Nigeria and Nigerians as well.
It means that also the said Captain Nuhu has to be commended, because I mean, it looks like he brought up the smile on your face. You believe in the things he can do. But we have to say a really big thank you to you, Chidebere, this morning for coming on the show and giving us your wealth of knowledge on the issue on ground. Of course, we've been speaking to Chidebere Ohadoma, who himself is a multi what do we call it?
Multi-dimensional, when you have
multi-ranked aviation
worker.
So that's how we put it, because if we read the fact that they're a flight dispatcher, aircraft maintenance engineer, NDT level 2 engineer, you are everything awesome for the industry. And we do hope that the industry can do right by you and the rest of your colleagues at this time, so that the aviation industry can become a hub. The Nigerian aviation industry can actually become a hub for Africa. Thank you very much for coming this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Serious issues, serious concerns as it concerns the aviation industry. And then when you listen to some of those things, you begin to wonder, where are we going as a country? Why is no institution working in the country as it is? But thank God there's hope, which is the last resort or last instrument of man. So we'll just hold on to that and be of good cheer as well, like the Bible would tell Christians.
Well, we are going to overcome these issues in Nigeria.
We'll definitely overcome these issues, but this is where we draw the curtains on the show today. It's been a wonderful time. We will keep talking about Nigeria, no doubt about it, and this is just to bring out some of the issues and challenges we're facing as a country. No country in the world does not have challenges, but how do we solve those challenges is another very important issue. But it's been a lovely ride, I must say, and we'll definitely see you again tomorrow for another edition of Rise and Shine Daily. My name is Janice Coburn. Do have a great day.
I am Uyai Aniek, and thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who called in and to our production crew. Let's do this again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly